with that, I'll take your questions.
Coach, what can you tell us about Gerald McCoy's injury, and have you had a chance to speak with him?
Gerald McCoy's injury, very, very unfortunate. I tell you, it just, makes you sick on a personal level. Anytime you see a player go through this type of injury, it was an injury that was just, it was in the drill work, and I can't tell you, it's just what he, has meant to our D line just in the short time we've all been together. So he's a big personality, obviously an excellent football player. So, but I thought he was in good spirits, afterwards when I saw him and visited with him, and he'll tackle this injury recovery just like he has tackled everything else. So, big personality, has a good mindset based on what's in front of him. But yeah, definitely a loss and very, very, very unfortunate.
Coach, would you anticipate him still being?
How you'll look to fill his absence going forward?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat your question?
Yeah. Can you just talk about the players behind him and how you look to fill his absence going forward?
Well, I would just say the overall depth of the defensive line is something that we feel we're in good shape there. I think, like anything, if you look at the dynamics of your whole football team, the younger players are always going to have to step up, close the gap between the younger, less experienced players than your older, experienced players. So that to me is a challenge each and every year. When you have an injury to Gerald McCoy, it definitely heightens the awareness and the urgency of younger players stepping up and taking this opportunity to contribute and be contributors to that particular unit.
What have you seen in Gallup and Hill the early part of camp?
I'm sorry, you're going in and out. Can you please repeat the question?
Yes. What have you seen in Gallup, Twiston Hill in the part of camp?
I'll tell you what, Gallimore he's doing a nice job. This is where he's being asked to do a lot of things that are new for him, which is a normal progression for most college players. So particularly just the defense he played in at Oklahoma is just what we're asking him to do up front's a little different. So very hard working, very intuitive. Has a great look in his eye, but it's coming. Tristan, I really like what he's done. I mean, since the virtual meetings, was always looking for extra work, asked a lot of questions, and I've been very impressed. We haven't had a lot of work. We just only been in pads in one day. So, but I think he's off to a good start in training camp.
We asked you about Tyrone Crawford yesterday and his versatility. Does he fit in the mix there as well at that recent week?
Tyrone Crawford in the mix of defensive tackle.
I mean, Tyrone Crawford is a multiple position player along the defensive line. So, I think he definitely has the ability to probably play 4 or 5 techniques in there. That's something that we're looking for really throughout our whole football team. And he's a great example of that. So I'm fully aware of his past on where he's played and how he's played. But the flexibility that you want to have in that defensive line group, especially with just the way offenses are playing. So our rotation will be critical up front, and Ty gives us great flexibility there.
Mike, a lot of guys have talked about the tempo of practice and how fast things go. Is there a certain amount of plays you want to get in during a practice that you feel comfortable with, or is it just not just go and the number of plays doesn't much matter?
No, everything that we've done to this point has been scripted. So to answer your question, yes, the number of plays is a goal each and every day. So actually, I think the football team has done a good job with the tempo. I mean, it's going to get better. It's not only part of why it's how you play the game and it's why you train that way, but there's also a conditioning component to it. So the players will get used to the tempo, and it'll just make us, more alert. And really the conditioning I'm looking for is more of the mental and emotional conditioning. The physical conditioning usually just takes care of itself.
Each year, you see more tendon tears, ligament tears, muscle injuries early in the season, early in camp. Do you consider the Gerald McCoy situation an acclimation of football injury?
Acclimation of a football injury. I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I think, in reference to the first part, it's something that's charted, no different than anything else that goes on in training camp. So, I mean, your injuries and the type of injuries, you have to pay close attention to it. And, a normal process is for the training staff and obviously the coaches and everybody involved, going, even Stephen Jones and I were talking about it last night, watching the injury on film. And because, we're fortunate to have the 9 cameras on the practice field to film pretty much each and every drill. So you evaluate each injury, and I think with that, you stay in tune with that, the reality of exactly what happened, how it happened, why it happened, and just, make sure you're on top of those types of things. But as far as, that particular injury, putting it into a category, I really don't have an answer there for you.
Do you anticipate Gerald McCoy maybe sticking around after he gets the surgery and maybe helping with the younger defensive linemen?
Yes, I do. Actually, Gerald, was part of our conversation, and he expressed not only a desire that he was going to be here and be a part of what we have what we've started here, and obviously he's very comfortable and this is where he wants to be. So yeah, that's exactly what he communicated to me.
Can you talk about what you've seen from Andy Dalton so far in practice and going back to the virtual meetings?
Andy Dalton's doing an excellent job. I thought he had an exceptional practice yesterday. I think he had 3 or 4 reads that were just right on the money. So I really like what Andy brings to our football team, and I think he's an excellent addition to the quarterback room. I know I've spoken on it in the last couple of days, but it's a quarterback room that's going to produce a lot of great things. I'm confident in that. So I think dynamics of a quarterback room, pretty much like any position room, but the dynamics of that room is so important for the progress of the offense and just the collaboration, the coordination between, Doug and Kellen. I think we're off to a great start. The quarterback school drills and what we've implemented there, all four players are doing a very good job with that. So, their workload capacity, I've been very impressed with, and so Andy's a big part of that.
Mike, can you address the progress and maybe today's plan involving Everson Griffen on the field?
Well, Everson went through some conditioning yesterday, so we'll look to take the next step. It's something that we'll evaluate the exact day or time as far as him being integrated into practice. We don't have that yet. That's a process that will continue today.
Back on Dalton for a second. I don't think in Green Bay, especially towards the end, you had a veteran backup quarterback. What's the value in having a guy like that who's played so much, not only in case something that happens to Dak, but to maybe help Dak as well?
Andy Dalton's value, I heard the second part of the question. I'm sorry I didn't hear the first part. Are we talking about Andy's value to the football team? Is that what you're asking me? Yes. I think, as I've stated, I mean, Dak is, he's our starter, and Andy's a great resource and asset not only to our football team but to Dak Prescott. I mean, Andy's played a lot of snaps in this league. I mean, if you see his level of preparation in the organization of what he's collected over the years, it's very impressive. So, I mean, he asks all the right questions, the specific questions, and what I like about it, it's like people with a lot of experience. Sometimes they ask the question not only they're not looking for the answer, they're just looking for the conversation, and he does that in the meeting environment. So it's a very healthy meeting structure, and I think we've all been able to learn and grow together in there, and So Andy's not only helping making our quarterback room better, he's definitely is going to be ready to go if needed.
We talk a lot about CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper. You need to talk about the value of Michael Gallup and how valuable it is to have a very solid number 2 receiver.
Well, let's make it clear. Michael Gallup's the number 1 receiver in my view. So, I mean, I think we're very fortunate to have three players with that level of potential to go out and play at that level. So, I mean, now the reality of it is, I mean, everybody wants to live by numbers, but it's really comes down to opportunities. I think I've been so impressed with not only what Michael's done on film last year. I mean, he was definitely one of the players that really jumped off the video during the off-season study because I didn't know a whole lot about Michael until last year. And he's primed to take that next step. You look for your younger players, in that second and third year to take a big step in their not only their production but just their overall awareness and their football IQ, their emotional IQ, all those things. And I think he will definitely be one of those players for us. So, I mean, obviously CeeDee's a rookie and he'll continue to grow. Amari is established, and he has a standard that he's played to this point. But those 3 guys, we have a chance to do some really big things, and really the overall receiver group. I mean, we got a bunch of young guys that are stepping up each and every day. So it's a group that has competition, but I think we're very fortunate to have three players of that caliber.
Dovetailing a little bit on the Andy Dalton questions, do you anticipate that the backups and the others behind them will get sort of a normal amount of time and reps in camp with this unique setup, or is there enough camp time with no preseason to kind of keep it pretty normal?
I mean, that's an excellent question that I really can't answer because time will answer that question. I think we have the first 9 installations and the first 9 practices all coordinated and scripted and laid out, but really how the training camp goes, you always have to adjust to the performance of the players, and so their performance and their level of execution not only as individuals but as a group. If the receiver groups is playing a certain way, we may need to do, we may have to adjust which concepts that we're using, as we progress through this installation phase. So that's always the challenge of any training camp, because you have an install phase and then you get into the phase where you're getting the team ready to win football games. So during that transition, those questions will be answered exactly how much those guys, how many reps those young players get.
You guys are working out a few offensive linemen today after practice. How's Cam Irving coming along?
He's making progress. Like I said, if it's an injury that it's not of serious nature. So, but they haven't given me exact date when he'll return.
Mike, in your way, you said you looked at everything that you did and looked around at other teams. What are some of the things that you've changed about your practice routines from what you did in Green Bay, or if someone were to come and see your practices here, would they be pretty much the same deal?
I would say that if anybody came here from Green Bay, they would be able to pretty much step right in, because I mean there's a lot of things from a routine standpoint that are the same. Being in Green Bay for 13 years, I've tried and utilized a lot of different schedules. So really the schedule that we're using in Dallas is really a combination of those experiences. So there was, I think, 2 years up there that we had the 8 a.m. practice schedule. So this is a schedule that I have some history with, and I think it's important, especially with our program being in its first year. We have a new coaching staff. We're working with a new, the support staff is really the staff that has the most experience. So, they're adjusting to the way that I see it, and we're very fortunate to have a very experienced support staff. If you look at our training department, the strength and conditioning, equipment, nutrition, all those, football operations, that's a huge asset for us to be able to tap into their experiences and utilize this new schedule. So, but I think it's like pretty much anything in this business. You're a product of your experiences.
This is along the lines of the red quarterback jersey for practice. You have names on the back of the guys' jerseys. What's the thought process behind that?
Well, I mean, the reality of it's a little closer to the norm. I have great respect for history and tradition, and it's something that I've always paid close attention to. But frankly, the names on the back of the jersey was initiated more by the fact that we had so many new people here, all the way across the board, as far as players, coaches, just so it was something that we felt that we needed to do. So it really wasn't a this is how I done it moment. Now the red jersey is a this is how I done it moment, because it's just something that I'm accustomed to. I think it's just a practice, structure, characteristics that I've always been a part of throughout my whole career in the NFL.
Talked yesterday, a couple days ago, about the integrity of practice when you put on pads. Dak got knocked down accidentally yesterday. Do you remind your guys to be mindful of your quarterback, especially in the pass rush?
Definitely, I think it's important to it's we refer to as practice ethic. There's a correction period in every team meeting. I'll spend probably 15 minutes going through the practice each day and talk about the things you really like, the things that we can do a little better, and particularly with when you get a player in a compromised position. I mean, we're all teammates here, so we don't want to compromise a guy's health if we can avoid it. Knocking down the quarterbacks is something you're not looking for, but it does happen, and it's a part of the growth of your practice structure environment. Because I mean, you'd be a hypocrite to sit there and tell your team to play and practice with a high tempo and being super competitive, and not to think, particularly in your first padded practice, that you're not going to have a couple guys get knocked down to the ground, maybe not quite the way you want it. So you work through those things. That's really a product of getting back into it and getting back into this environment. You go through it every year. This isn't uncommon, but definitely, yeah, we don't want to see that quarterback get knocked to the ground. But I'll just tell you what Dak's comment in the meeting, watching the tape, was just the importance of going limp with your body, and because you got to know how to fall, and those are experiences that you can definitely learn from, and so in a weird way, as a benefit, he got knocked down, I guess you can say. But no, it's not something that we're looking to do.
Mike, if you had an opportunity to talk to Antoine Woods, he was involved with Gerald McCoy yesterday, and you could see on the video his concern for Gerald McCoy as he went down.
I specifically did not, but I know, starting with him and the coaches, I mean, just the reaction of it, and when Gerald was walking off, I knew it was of serious nature, and I know Leon Lett was sick about it. Jim Thomas Sowell, that they were sick about it. And really, Gerald was probably the most positive. That's just his personality. He's he tackles everything head on. So, but no, I have not talked to him specifically. But yes, it's something that you don't like to see, obviously. Good. Okay. Thank you.